Our first realistic rebuild of FIFA 23 is with Barcelona. Since taking over last season, Xavi has transformed this team. The most recent summer transfer window saw the arrivals of Brazilian winger Rafinha from Leeds United for 58 million, defender Jules Koundé from fellow La Liga side Sevilla for 50 million, clinical goal scorer Robert Lewandowski from Bayern for 45 million, and also some of the best free transfers I've seen in a single transfer window, leaving us with the current starting 11 and substitutes. As this is a realistic rebuild, I'm going to be setting 3 goals for myself, the first of which being to eliminate the reported 1.3 billion euros debt that the club has managed to accrue. Some of the most critical areas being to return Barcelona as the top team in Spain. Also, advancing to the final of the Champions League. That is not going to be easy considering we have arguably the most difficult group. But that brings us to goal number 2, and that's to give Barca its 3rd continental treble winning season. But switching over to our youth academy, we do have a 4-star, 5-star scout to begin with who will stay in Spain for the entirety of the season, looking for any type of player. But I think the main focus is going to be on our homegrown talent. Lucas Rodriguez is a 65 rated Spanish striker with potential of 76 to 94, but we've got a very interesting development in that his attributes make it so that center back is actually his highest rated position. I know that another Barca center back, Carlos Puyol, spent the entirety of his career at the club. Maybe Rodriguez can do the same and help us achieve the 3rd objective for this rebuild, which is to further develop La Masia. Well, we are ready to begin our La Liga campaign against another title contender in Atletico Madrid. I have disabled the summer transfer window with the number of arrivals the club has already made, and I think this starting 11 can get the job done. I've made a couple of changes, such as including Balde in the starting 11. Xavi seems to really be giving him an opportunity this season, which plays in well as we try to phase out some of the older players at the club with larger contracts. Jordi Alba is a great example of that. But it was a less than ideal beginning to our season, losing 5-2 away from home. Just 2 matches later, we have Real Madrid away. There are a few players that know the importance of this fixture better than our current captain Sergio Busquets, having featured 30+ times in El Clasico, and we will pick up a huge 3-0 victory courtesy of Ansu Fati, showing that the next wave of talents at Barca is the future. But our next big storyline comes from our first Champions League fixture, Robert Lewandowski's return to Bayern. And unfortunately, we will lose out 4-2 despite a late goal from Lewandowski. Clearly, we need to do more in this competition. A win against Inter will keep us in the running at advancing to the knockout stages. But again, we're going to reflect some IRL storylines. Injury concerns are definitely impacting Barca right now. Several starting 11 and substitute players such as Koundé, Araujo, De Jong, and Depay will all be missing out on action for the next month or so. Despite not having our first choice starting 11, we still get a draw against Inter, which means that it'll come down to the final Champions League match day. Us, Inter, and Bayern all have an opportunity to advance. We do need to get a win to secure our place in the knockout stages. And when we will, away from home, we dominated on the statistics, and we are not going to see a repeat of last season, where the club was eliminated during the Champions League group stage for the first time in 21 years. A final look at the group standings sees that we will place first, which does make a difference moving forward as we will have some easier opposition. But as we check results in January 2023, we are actually top of the La Liga standings by a good margin. That doesn't mean I want to let up though. I want to further improve this squad now that the transfer window is open and we can use some of the funds at our disposal. In particular, I want to strengthen the right back position, and Jeremy Frimpong seems to earn a starting role wherever he goes. In particular, when he made the transfer from Manchester City and their youth academy to Celtic, he quickly saw an uptick in his appearances. The same goes for when he made the transfer to the Bundesliga and Leverkusen, who are struggling quite a bit as things stand. Expectations are obviously going to be a bit different here at Barcelona, where he will likely take over the starting right back spot right away. But all in all, I would call this a solid 50 million transfer, as Frimpong has potential to grow his attributes and ratings into the mid to upper 80s. I haven't forgot about our homegrown talent, Rodriguez, up to a 73 overall. And if you aren't already aware, the best way to develop your youth academy players is to typically send them out on loan. And we got the perfect offer from Ajax. We'll check back on Rodriguez's development at the end of the season, but we are going to also see a few players with expiring contracts. Marcos Alonso, who is actually a recent addition to Barcelona, and longtime player Sergio Busquets. I kind of understand the Alonso transfer to an extent, but I think with Balde establishing his role in the Barca team. Alonso's no longer needed, so he will be making the free transfer to Nice at the beginning of next season. Along with that, because we have Frimpong now at the club, we're not going to need too many right backs, so Sergio Roberto will be going to Liverpool for 25 million. But just a few weeks into January, we've already got a new competition. It's the Super Cup, which has the top two teams from the Liga and the Copa de España from last year's campaign. We saw a late comeback against Betis, Dembele and Xavi scoring late goals to put us through to the final against Valencia, who lost out on the Copa de España last year, and now they've lost out on a few star players. Carlos Soler made the transfer to PSG in the most recent transfer window, and in-game, Jose Gaya has made the move to Manchester United. Clearly those defensive problems made a difference as we put two past them, and that will give us our first trophy of the rebuild so far, and hopefully the first of many. But turning attention to the Champions League and the round of 16 against RB Leipzig. They've seen the return of one of their star players, Timo Werner, who's already off to a great start. But this will be our new look Barcelona squad. As you can see, Frimpong already into the starting 11. And we're going to continue our momentum, keeping another clean sheet and securing a 2-0 victory in the first leg, a high-scoring affair in the second leg, but we are through 7-3 on aggregate and into the quarterfinals against Milan. We got a few connections to the Italian club. One of our former players, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, will be retiring at season's end after a lengthy career. And one of our current players, Serginho Dest, is out on loan and up +1 in his overall rating already. But we saw a first leg loss to Milan. Goals from Brahim and Rebic put us at a 3-2 deficit. And unfortunately, a less than favorable result in the second leg means that we will drop out of the Champions League and now put full focus into La Liga. 4 fixtures remain and we have an opportunity to win the league title. We've had a pretty comfortable gap at the top all season, but our job security is less than comfortable. If we don't secure the league title, there's a good chance we could get the sack. What a match day this could be. It's been since the 18-19 season since Barcelona last won La Liga, and we have tried to recreate the Spotify Camp Nou to the best of our ability. Getting right into the highlights, we have a corner kick in the 12th minute. And I'm telling you right now, this seems to be my go-to corner kick tactic. Holding the R2 or RT button gives you the ability to shoot with the outside of your foot. And when you've got high-rated players like De Jong, you can score goals just like that. Now that we've got the lead, we're looking to build upon it. And Ansu Fati showcasing some good dribbling, but losing out on possession. Elche's keeper, though, is going to make an error, and the ball falls to Dembele. He goes with the long shot, and they are well and truly back for FIFA 23. A spectacular goal, and now that we're 2-0 up, we couldn't have had the better start to the match. But with us making some changes to our defense, we are going to expect some errors here and there. Elche making the counter-attacking goal and cutting the deficit in half. It is still before the end of the first half as we see another opportunity from our opponents. Very similar to the first goal. This time we try to close down the space with Ter Stegen. Keeper off his line. It's a chip shot effort. And going into the break, all of a sudden it is 2-2. With just about 30 minutes left to go, we are going to make some changes, bringing on our former captain, Sergio Busquets, in what could be one of his final appearances in a Barcelona kit. We'll find Lewandowski on the through ball, and it is Ousmane Dembele to score his second goal. He's just such a fun player to use in career mode, and he really has found his form in real life as well. A spectacular volley effort to the far post. That'll once again give us the lead in this one as we try to close out this match. I know that Barcelona fans are very excited about the future of the squad and their youth academy. Players like Xavi, just 17 years old, already getting first team appearances, and he was impressing in this rebuild, showcasing some dribbling there, and he will give us the 4th goal in the 79th minute, which will seal us all 3 points and the La Liga title in our first season. A great accomplishment for the club as we try to get ourselves back to being the top team in Spain. Here's a final look at the La Liga standings. We finished 11 points clear of Real Madrid. The relegation spots going to Cadiz, Almeria, and Mallorca. As far as the Liga Smart Bank, SD Ponferradina and Granada will see automatic promotion with a couple of teams competing in the promotion playoff final. We saw an early exit in the round of 32 of the Copa de España, but I am happy to see Real Betis got the victory against Real Madrid as they pick up consecutive victories in this competition. Of course, we exited from the Champions League earlier than we would have liked in the quarterfinals, but it's Real Madrid, who despite a less than stellar season in Spain, will get another European trophy as they won 2-0 against PSG. Roma with the victory against Porto in the Europa League, and it's Nice to defeat Villarreal in the Conference League. Ansu Fati had such a strong start to the season. He had that early hat trick, and that led him to being the club's top goal scorer, 29 from 45. Lewandowski with some incredible numbers for goal contribution, and some great development from our youth academy. Lucas Rodriguez up to a 75 rating during his loan spell, and Balde, in really his first season as a senior squad player, up to an 80 overall rating, +9 for his growth. I think it's been a great start to the rebuild, securing a couple of trophies and eliminating 500 million of that 1.3 billion in debt, looking to accomplish more of these board objectives in season 2. A new year of this rebuild is ahead, and we've got some big transfers in mind for Barcelona. Taking a look at our board objectives, we need to sign one of the best players in the world, domestically win the league title, win the Copa de España, and also try to win the UEFA Champions League. Big increase in our transfer budget as well, up to 332 million. There was only one player in mind that I wanted to sign first in season 2, and that is Lionel Messi. The world was shocked when the one club player left for PSG in the summer of 2021. But with his former teammate Xavi now managing the club and a new era underway at Barcelona, I don't think there's a better time for him to return. We had to pay 40 million to complete the deal. Would have been even better if we could have signed him on a free, kind of what the club is trying to do in real life, but still a great move nonetheless. He will be re-earning his number 10 squad number. And as a result, Ansu Fati will shift to the number 17. Not a bad trade-off considering you've got Messi back at the club. But we will not be stopping there. We're looking for some great deals, and Youssoufa Moukoko was available on a free. The Borussia Dortmund youngster had an incredible goal-scoring record in some of the youth teams, and he has translated that to some success at the senior level in the Bundesliga. Some think that he's going to be the next answer for Erling Haaland departing to Manchester City. Others are very concerned about his lack of playing time. There's no way he's going to be our starting striker yet at Barcelona, but I still think there's a lot of potential talent here. It was sad to see Busquets leaving at the end of last season, but it's the direction the club needs to go if they want to build towards the future. Continue signing promising players, and Zubimendi can, in my opinion, be the perfect replacement at CDM. The Real Sociedad youngster has continued to see an uptick season after season, and I think that with his lack of injury history, he can withstand the test of multiple competitions that we're involved in. It's another 50 million transfer like we had in the season before. He's not going to be starting right away, but over time, he's going to use that development plan to center defensive mid. We will try to clear up some funds via player departures, and at the end of last season, Atletico Madrid actually exercised the release clause for Antoine Griezmann, a move that is likely to happen as long as the fee is right for both clubs in the future. Memphis Depay has also received some interest from Serie A clubs, particularly Juventus, where it was looking like he would move to in the summer of 2020. That deal never happened, and now Milan are coming in. The team that defeated us in the Champions League last season is going to acquire one of our players. A fairly realistic transfer offer from Bayern as they look to bring in a new defender with Andreas Christensen. I know he is a recent arrival at Barcelona, but in my opinion, he's no longer going to be in the starting 11 with Koundé and Araujo kind of dominating those two starting spots. I think 50 million was a very fair fee as we continue to see some transfer history between Bayern and Barcelona. But it will be a much easier start to our La Liga campaign. 3 matches that we should be winning. Here is our starting 11 as we continue to grow stronger and stronger. The headlines, though, will be on Lionel Messi. He's now captaining the squad, and we've got a lot of confidence he will lead us to an even brighter future. We get a 3-0 win, Messi scoring the first goal of season 2 in this rebuild. And as the transfer window shuts, we'll take a look at some of the top deals. Valverde actually exiting to Juventus for roughly 150 million. Jude Bellingham being brought in for 100 million. Just an absolutely ridiculous midfield trio over at Madrid. And we've got 3 of the top potential center mids in career mode. Our Champions League group will be no walk in the park, and as we are 4 matches into the Liga season, we're currently unbeaten, trying to translate that success to the Champions League as well. A pretty high scoring fixture, but Xavi, another late goal will give us a 3-2 win against Spurs. It's safe to say we're going to see a lot of highlighted fixtures between us and Real Madrid, considering the history between the two clubs. Every one of these matches in the Liga could decide the fate of the eventual league winners, and it looks like we've got some room to make up. An embarrassing 4-1 loss, and hopefully we can still be in a decent position going into the January transfer window. A single point behind Madrid in the standings, and for the Champions League, we will see 14 points from 6 fixtures, once again topping our group. A couple of changes to our starting 11 though, our homegrown talent finally breaking through. Granted, that was a result of an injury, Araujo with a 3-month broken toe recovery time, and a couple of transfer offers coming in. I know Frenkie de Jong was reportedly close to a move to Manchester United. They're offering 163.2 million to secure his signature. We will be declining that for the time being. Hector Bellerin, though, we've got a lot of right backs at the club already. In particular, I am trying to give Serginho Dest a future at the club. As a fan of the U.S. men's national team myself, I want to see him somewhat highlighted in this rebuild. It's not a bad move for Bellerin, in my opinion, and for 20 million, we'll have that added to our transfer budget. As was the case last year, we'll see a few players with expiring contracts. Gerard Piqué down to 74 rating, and Jordi Alba to an 80 rating. Alba was the only one to receive an offer, so he'll be joining West Ham once the season ends. This year's Super Cup will be more difficult. I promised more matches between us and Real Madrid. Well, here they are, and we have secured our revenge. Goals from Ansu Fati and Pedri will give us a 2-0 victory, where it's the first trophy that Messi will be lifting in his return back to Barcelona. But we want to get more done, and that starts in the Champions League against Bayer Leverkusen. They do still have Florian Wirtz in this save. He's up to an 85 overall, just 20 years old, one of the top prospects in career mode. We thankfully have the return of Araujo as well for Champions League action, so all things are pointing towards a good couple of fixtures ahead. We get a 1-0 victory with a goal from Lewandowski in the first leg and a 2-0 win at the Camp Nou, goals coming from Ansu Fati. Quarterfinals against Atletico Madrid. We had to see Griezmann coming back and trying to get his revenge. He was actually the only goal scorer for Atleti in the first leg, but we still got the 2-1 win there and a 1-1 draw in the second leg. 3-2 aggregate win puts us up against Inter in the semifinals. The player to highlight for them is Lautaro Martinez. Has had a couple of transfer links with Barcelona, and considering the number of goals he scored in the first leg, he might be on our radar in the future. But a pretty dominant outing across both legs means that we will be through to the Champions League final against Manchester City. But first we have the final La Liga fixture, and we're not in the best of form for this competition. We're still in the running for the league title, just 2 points behind Real Madrid. So mathematically, it could happen. Not with a draw, though. Just a lackluster performance, and it really is a shame because Madrid lost their final matchday fixture. Had we gotten a win, that would have given us consecutive La Liga titles. But we need to shake that off and try to secure the Champions League trophy. We can't get a continental treble, but we can return Barcelona as Champions League victors. And once again, our manager rating puts us in a position that we need to win. I think it was perfectly fitting that this Champions League final came up against Pep's Manchester City. They're trying to win their first Champions League, and we, of course, have the return of Lionel Messi playing against one of his former managers. The first highlight coming in the 17th minute, it's Lewandowski played through. And inside the 18-yard box, he is just so clinical. I know he's starting to drop a little bit in his overall as he starts to get older, but still a spectacular striker. And judging by his goal numbers in the last season, even this year, there's no reason for us to not put our faith in him for this final. But it's Erling Haaland. He has been in impeccable form in the Premier League and obviously a great talent in career mode as well. He's going to find the equalizer in the 45th minute, and we're into the second half now. Mahrez finding De Bruyne, the box-to-box midfielder, will once again give City the lead in this one. It was a match that I felt really good early on, but really the second half of the first half went in Manchester City's favor. Now they've got the lead, and we need to start making some changes. Putting some faith in Xavi. He scored some good goals last season, and we saw this tactic. We're going to pull it off again. Just a looping effort over the outstretched arms of Ederson, and we have a level match once again. Defensively, though, we struggled against City. They're one of the best possession sides, and they play some really good football. They're going to get a third goal, courtesy of Mahrez in the 60th minute. I just didn't know how we would be able to respond. It seemed like every time we got a goal, City would march right back down and get the lead once again. We're not going to give up though. Messi to Lewandowski over to Ansu Fati. He's got enough pace to get by these City defenders, and he will get a goal to make it 3-3, 64 minutes in. At this point, stamina is starting to come into play, so we're going to make a change, bringing on one of our new signings. Moukoko has great pace, can score goals, and he's going to get involved right away. Zubimendi to our other signing, Moukoko, the left-footed effort to the far post, and with 12 minutes remaining, it is 4-3 Barcelona advantage. It's a beautiful moment with Messi celebrating with some of the youngsters, the old generation and the new generation combining on the link up and giving the club its first Champions League trophy in close to a decade. We know how the top half of the La Liga standings went, but for relegation spots, they will go to Girona, Eibar, and Ponferradina. As far as the La Liga Smart Bank standings, Levante and Cadiz will see automatic promotion. Another early exit from us in the Copa de España, losing out to Real Oviedo in the quarterfinals. Atleti defeating Real Betis in the final 2-1. Juventus will win the Europa League against Chelsea, and it's West Ham to defeat Atalanta in the Conference League final. And this is what I mean about Lewandowski's numbers. He really scored the goals here in Season 2. 35 from 51 appearances, leading La Liga in goals scored as well. Ansu Fati, he was the top goal scorer last year. Now he's the top assist maker. And we'll be closely watching Messi. He's down to an 86 rating. Honestly, that's not too bad. I thought he would be declining quicker. And all in all, it was a fantastic year for us. We're checking off new competitions every season and continuing to make great profit. The 600 million this season combined with the 500 million last season in profit puts us just 200 million shy of clearing our debt. Our goal in Season 3 is to win it all with Barcelona. Now that we are eligible for every single competition, there's no reason that we can't aspire to secure as many trophies as possible. It'll never be easy though. Our Champions League group this year have RB Leipzig, Fenerbahce, and Dynamo Kiev. Budget of 442 million to start with, and I preluded to it earlier on, but I think Lautaro Martinez would be a great addition to Barcelona. There have been some failed attempts in the past for Barca to bring him in due to financial reasons, but that is no longer the case in this rebuild. We've won a lot of silverware, we have a good budget, and we can continue to improve at the striker position, especially now with Lewandowski getting older. The 150 million fee is actually a club record signing, breaking the record set by the Philippe Coutinho rival during the 17-18 season, and adding a little bit more squad depth at the left back position with Ryan Ait-Nouri. The Wolves left back has seen a limited number of appearances, usually gets between 20 to 30, which is no problem for us considering we already have Balde, further utilizing the existing transfer talks between us and Wolves. I know Barca have a couple of high potential goalkeepers for the future, but just in case Ter Stegen suffers an injury, I want to have a high rated option. And I think Alessio Cragno can be a decent backup player. He's featured for a few different clubs in Serie A. I'm not sure exactly why he was loaned out of Cagliari to newly promoted Monza, but we made a couple of free agent deals already in this rebuild. Why not continue that? It's very possible that this time may eventually come for Frenkie de Jong. It seems like every transfer window, the top clubs around the world are interested in bringing him in, and that was very much the case again here in Season 3. I decided to accept this offer from Juventus, who kind of have a history with these former Ajax players in Matthias de Ligt in the past. But for 165 million, that is going to help out a lot for achieving our profit objective at the end of this season. Another very interesting offer coming in for Robert Lewandowski. On one hand, I wanted to keep him for the entirety of this rebuild because his goal numbers have been ridiculous, but he's only going to keep dropping in his rating, and with Newcastle having the funds available, I could see this as a storyline that might happen. A few other departures with Longley joining Roma for 25 million. I struck a good deal with Patrick Vieira over at Crystal Palace because I currently have a Crystal Palace career mode on the channel. If you haven't watched the first episode, I'll leave a link to it in the top right corner of your screen right now. Umtiti to Napoli for 17.5 million. Collado to Southampton for 7.5 million. Abe to Toulouse for 2.5 million. And finally, Carbonell to Stoke City for 1.25 million. But our season starts with a new competition. It's the UEFA Super Cup against Europa League winners Juventus. This rebuild keeps on developing great storylines. Our new midfield will consist of Xavi and Pedri. It kind of is that new look Xavi-Iniesta partnership that Barcelona had for so many years. And of course, the addition of Lautaro Martinez at the striker spot. And two of those highlighted players securing two of our goals. It's another trophy added to our cabinet. Leo still captain at the club, while he can still be starting. And now we can continue to try to push in La Liga, starting the season off with a 3-0 win. And now, against Real Madrid, you can see all the dubs here in the calendar. Madrid are also off to a great start to the season, so these fixtures are crucial, and this one in particular will end in a draw. We're all the way to January 2025, and we have managed to leapfrog Madrid in the standings, 1 point clear of them, also going undefeated in our Champions League group. So all things pointing towards a perfect season if results stand. It will be an iconic moment though, with Dembele taking over from Messi out wide at right wing. With his contract expiring at season's end, I think things are pointing toward a move abroad, but there is still a chance for him to contribute the rest of this season, as we will see another Super Cup final against Real Madrid. It's gone both ways, but when it comes to finals, we seem to have the upper hand. The only goal coming in the 88th minute, courtesy of Lautaro Martinez. So that'll put us 2 for 2 so far in Cup finals this year. Our round of 16 opponent will be Frankfurt, who have made some interesting moves. I never think I would have seen Thomas Müller making a transfer to another Bundesliga club, but it's happened. Results going our way though, a 3-1 win away from home, a 3-0 win at the Camp Nou, and into the quarterfinals against Milan, who knocked us out in season 1 in this very round. Of course, they've also secured the signature of Memphis Depay since then, and it was a close fixture, 1-1 in the first leg, and an injury to Ansu Fati. It's going to leave him out for 2 months. Fortunately, we do have a replacement though with Ferran Torres. He hasn't featured a whole lot in this rebuild up to this point, but he certainly made the difference in this second leg, scoring both goals for us, giving us the 3-2 win on aggregate. And that means that we're going to have a semi-finals opponent of Real Madrid, but not before the Copa de España final. We finally made it to this stage of the competition, and we will get the winning result against Real Sociedad. It just seems like we can't lose in cup finals this year, and now we just need to get past Real Madrid to get an opportunity in the Champions League. It was a 1-0 victory in the first leg and a 1-1 draw away from home. Ferran Torres again with a crucial goal and proven to be a hero in season 3 this rebuild. That means we're going to face PSG at the end of May. A couple of La Liga fixtures leading up to that, and with 3 matches to play, we can mathematically secure the title. It's exactly what we want to do. That way we can rest our starters. We will manage to get the job done at home against Getafe. We're 4 for 4 in cup finals, but we are still short of that continental treble. The most important match of the year up ahead against PSG, but we're still going to cover all competitions. Here is a look at the final La Liga standings. Relegation spots going to Levante, Granada, and Mallorca. For La Liga Smartbank, it's Ponferradina, who again see the promotion to the top flight along with Eibar. Lyon with the win against PSV in the Europa League, and it's Stade Rennais to defeat Wolves in the Conference League. A check back at some former players. De Jong at a 90 rating with Juventus. Lewandowski, this is why we unfortunately chose to let him go. He's going to drop in his rating now at a 77 at Newcastle. And Neymar Jr., still the top transfer away at the club despite all the signings and departures in this rebuild, at an 87 with PSG. No Neymar in the starting 11, but hopefully he will feature as a sub in this Champions League final. At this stage of the rebuild, we are well versed in the Champions League and also in cup finals. It took only a few minutes for Ferran Torres to open up the scoring. He has been the hero of season 3, being brought in at an unlikely time due to injury for Ansu Fati, but showcasing a really cool sliding finish, which in my opinion, you get to see some more variety in the gameplay for FIFA 23. A welcome addition to career mode as well. And it is going to be Rodriguez who got the start at left center back in this Champions League final, helping us check off the La Masia objective for this rebuild. It's Torres again, played through after some great passing play, and he will showcase the new power shot animation, and that will double our lead going into the halftime break. Messi for Dembele in this second half. There was no way I would be going out in this Champions League final without showcasing Messi in his final appearance at Barcelona. And on a corner kick, PSG were bringing their goalkeeper forward. Messi with a breakaway. He is going to go with the long-range effort. Is it going to have enough power? The keeper tried to run back and defend. Messi's even celebrating at this point, but the PSG keeper denying Messi of a goal in his final appearance with Barcelona. Still, all in all, a great performance by Barca in this Champions League final. Here's a final look at the profit, 725 million this season, well clear of the projected amount that we were looking for, and a perfect summary with us achieving 5 trophies during this campaign. But I hope you all enjoyed this Barca rebuild. Let me know in the comment section what other realistic rebuilds you want to see next. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, but until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to you all again soon.